Good afternoon. It's time to call to order the December 22nd, 2020 meeting of the Oklahoma City Economic Development Trust. First item on our agenda is to ratify the OCEDT claims.
First approval of the minutes.
I'll entertain, we're going to vote electronically.
We need to do approval of the minutes.
Okay, we're going to go back and we're going to approve the minutes of the previous
December
meeting,
22nd.
December 22nd. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December 22nd.
Second.
And please cast your votes. Next now, it's time to ratify the OC. Let's see, we just approved the minutes. This is time to ratify the OCEDT claims. Entertain a motion to ratify the claims. And a second. Please cast your votes. And the claims passed. Next on our agenda is the information needing separate investigation to approve the administrative items involving project number 8. Craig.
Yes, sir. So on this project, this is an amendment. It's a change order and amendment in the agreement with the Water Utility Trust on some improvements downtown. Eric Winger, our Public Works Director, is going to give us a brief overview of the project.
Thank you, Chairman and members. We are presenting to you today amendment number 3 and change order number 3 to project 180, package number 8. It's been a while since we've been back to the trust, and so I thought I'd just do a brief summary. So project 180 originally included 13 different streetscapes and 8 different packages. And so this is the final package, and it is the final amendment and change order that we'll be proposing under the program. Work is 99.9% complete. But with this change order, there's a few items that we're increasing and decreasing, but you're going to see there's a net overall decrease when you add the two together of $996,414. There's an amount of work that's at the intersection of Broadway and Main Street that we're going to leave undone for a period of time because of the work that's ongoing at First National and Bank First. And so there's a lot of congestion at that intersection. We've had some complaints from some of the local area businesses just making sure that we don't completely shut down that intersection. So this will close out the project with the current contractor on package 8. With your approval, we'll move this forward to the council for their final consideration. We'll go back to that intersection at a point in time. It's got some remaining waterline work, and then there's just some surface paving work that need to be completed. But with that, this will probably be one of the final items on Project 180 construction that we'll be bringing back to this trust.
So do we expect that the remaining work will be able to be completed for less than the 996?
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
And as a reminder, the project is actually jointly funded between some of the funds that were provided by Project 180, but also the Utilities Trust. So a portion of the work is actually being done by the Water Utilities Trust.
Any other comments or questions from the trustees? Seeing none, entertain a motion to approve the amendment. And a second. And it passes. Next on the agenda is our Criterion Performing Arts Facility project.
I think we got item B, the Economic Development Agreement on the Port Teresa.
So sorry, everybody.
Okay, item B, Bill of Teresa.
Yes, sir. Joanna McSpadden, our Economic Development Manager, is here, and she'll speak to this item. This is the Economic Development Agreement. We had approved the allocation of funding previously for this project, and Joanna's just going to give us an update on the Economic Development Agreement.
Yeah, so we approved the allocation for this back, I believe, last summer. And we're coming back today with the actual economic development agreement or the contract, and nothing has changed since we last spoke about the project. We've got a little under $1 million for the project. We've got $455,000 for the hotel component. This is going to be a reimbursement of taxes paid as they go through the remainder of TIF 2, which we have 6 or 7 years left. I'd have to go back and look at the agreement. And then we have about $570,000 for the residential component. So if you'll recall the project, it's over by the old Villa Teresa site. They're renovating the Villa Teresa School as a boutique hotel, and then they're building new residential units kind of along Dewey and 13th.
Thank
And
you,
I'd be happy to
Joanna.
answer questions.
Any questions for Joanna? Seeing none, trustees, if you would, we need a motion and a second. And cast your votes, and it is so approved. Next up is a gold bond project with Corkin Manufacturing.
We've got item C. Yeah, this one.
I thought we just did the criteria.
On the criteria, the one we just did was the Villa Teresa.
Okay.
They were doing
Excuse me,
criterion.
let's do the criterion then. Go ahead.
Yes, so
Craig.
this is an update, an amendment on the Economic Development Agreement with Criterion Development Group LLC. Joanna's going to give us an update. This is basically just affecting the no-flip clause, and so I'll let Joanna take us through that and explain that.
Yeah, so this is amendment number 3 for the criterion. If you guys recognize the name, this is the music venue that's on the east end of Bricktown. They're looking to sell that property. They've been approached. They're under a non-disclosure agreement, so we can't share a whole lot of information, but the expectation is that it's going to maintain as a music venue, I'm sorry. It's going to be maintained as a music venue. And they came to us talking about the 5-year no-flip clause that we have in all of our EDAs. So as we started looking at the paperwork and the timeline, they essentially met the 5-year no-flip. Their opening concert was held in March of 2016. And so by March of 2021, they will have met that 5-year no-flip clause requirement. And that is about the time that they plan on finalizing the potential sale that they're still negotiating right now. So we looked into that. The other thing that I would say, and kind of the real reasoning for us to allow them to get this amendment proposed, is that they were given a $550,000 allocation back in 2015. That was $200,000 for infrastructure, which was sidewalks, alleyway improvements, some other things. We did quite a bit of work over there. And then the $350,000 was the development financing. Well, they never received any of the $350,000. They only received the $200,000, which was the sidewalk and alleyway improvements. And they put in an additional $600,000 roughly for those improvements, in addition to some work that Public Works and the Water Department did. So we felt like that was something that we'd want to present to you all, give you the opportunity to consider allowing them the amendment to take the no-flip clause out so that they can pursue the sale.
What does this do to the risk involved in the project?
Say that again?
What does this do by approving this do to the risk in the project by now allowing the flip clause to kick in?
I think we still hold we're still holding the substantive 5-year no-flip clause in this case, so I think we don't lose any credibility by doing that in this case. It's the same as the EDGE. They essentially met it. It was some paperwork that we require to kind of close out the project on our end that we just didn't get it was like 6 or 9 months that it took them to go ahead and get that to us. But I think we still have that credibility for the 5-year no-flip for future projects. I think as far as this project in particular, I mean, it's completed. And the one thing that they are able to tell me about the potential buyer is that they will bring shows to the criterion, and I think we will benefit from this change in the future.
Thank you, ma'am. Any comments or questions from the trustees? Seeing none, I'll take a motion and a second. And the item passes. Now, see if I can get back on the right schedule. We're now ready for cork and pump, is that right?
Yes, sir, you got it. That's right.
Hallelujah. I knew sooner or later
Nice
I'd
work.
catch up.
That's right. Jeff, you going to introduce this one?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
City Manager, members of the trust, I just wanted to briefly introduce this project and Art Laszlo to you. We've been working with Corkin International and IDEX for a period of time to consider an opportunity for expansion here in Oklahoma City. We're excited that the company is considering moving forward with that project, bringing forward an opportunity for them to add 120 new jobs in Oklahoma City. And I'd like to introduce Art Laszlo, president of Corkin, to discuss the project. Thank you.
And as Art's coming forward, just clarify too, there's a resolution between the city and the Economic Development Trust for an allocation of GOLT funds for up to $300,000 for the creation of these jobs and bringing the headquarters here. So Art, good to have you here.
Correct, thank you. Welcome. I should say thank you for allowing me to be here, and Chairman and members, look forward to giving you some background on the company as well as the opportunity that we have here in Oklahoma City. So as you'll see
You are
here,
not new, you all are not new to the Oklahoma City marketplace, are you, Corkin?
say that again?
You're not new to the marketplace. You've been here before for a long time.
I have not been to this committee before. I've only been in Oklahoma City. We've lived here now for 6 years. My family and I relocated here from Chicago.
But were you not here also way back in the 70s? Out
Corkin.
on Northwest.
Corkin,
yes.
yes, yeah, not myself, sorry. I
Right.
apologize, misunderstood. Yeah, Corkin actually has been in Oklahoma City since 1924. Originally was down in Bricktown, and then in the 60s had moved up to 36, near 36 in Portland. And then just recently in 2020, we moved to our new facility off of I-35 in Britain. So yes, Corkin's been around as a fixture within Oklahoma City for almost 100 years now.
Right ahead, sir, with your presentation.
All right.
Go ahead with your presentation.
Thank you. So as we talked about Corkin, a little background there, as we've just talked about, Liquid Controls is another business unit that I'm responsible for running as a business unit subsidiary of IDEX Corporation. Liquid Controls is based out of Lake Bluff, Illinois, and our parent company is IDEX, publicly traded company under IDEX, is based out of Northbrook. Corkin and Liquid Controls combined is roughly about 250 employees. IDEX Corporation has 7,000. Each company, as well as the corporation, are global companies. We do, Corkin and Liquid Controls do about 60% of our sales within the United States and 40% in international markets. What we do is we mainly play in the manufacturing of compressors, pumps, and metering systems as it relates to downstream oil and gas. So nothing near the wellhead. We don't have a ton of fluctuation in our markets based on the price of oil. It's really where you're looking at LPG, propane, aviation fuels, a lot of gasoline, diesel movement. Basically the custody transfer, anytime it's moving from, say, a terminal to a truck and eventually to the end user, typically our products are involved there, whether at the terminal itself or on the truck. If you could go to the next slide, please. And what you see here is a photo of the new facility. If you've driven down I-35 from Edmond down to Oklahoma City, you'll see it on the right-hand side of I-35 in Britain. This facility was just opened in March of this year. Currently, it is housing our Corkin pump and compressor manufacturing operations as discussed. What we are planning to do is relocate and consolidate the Liquid Controls business from Chicago, the manufacturing side of the business, to here in Oklahoma City. And what that would produce, as we'll talk about, is roughly 120 new jobs for Oklahoma. What we've decided to do is we wanted to invest in Oklahoma City as our energy headquarters for this new business unit that's being formed by the combination of these two businesses called Advanced Flow Solutions. In our decision, I want to note that the incentives that we're certainly coming here for to discuss, as well as the state incentives did play into our decision-making process. We're going to be investing outside of the new building that we just built. We're going to be investing close to $5 million in expenses and $2 million in capital to relocate this business here on top of obviously the 120 jobs that would be created as a result of the relocation. So why Oklahoma City? Obviously, the attractive of the cost of doing business here, the attractiveness of that is key. As we talked about the financial and project assistance that we knew were available, we did look at both Chicago. We thought about moving Corkin potentially up to Liquid Controls there in Chicago. We also looked at Dallas because our corporation has other facilities and businesses throughout the United States. But ultimately, we wanted to stay here in Oklahoma City. A big part of it is this is the energy corridor. If you think of I-35 from Houston all the way up into Kansas, and really we've had a 96-year really good history here in Oklahoma. We've got roughly 110 employees here today that have worked for this company for 40 and some even 50 years. And so we've just had a great relationship with the city. I've had really good working relationships with the communities we'll get into here. And we just felt that the quality of life that Oklahoma City offered versus some of those alternatives was the best for our both current and future plans. So as we talked about, how will the funds assist? So we talked about 120 new jobs over the next 5 years, roughly about 50,000 plus benefits and bonus programs that would be offered. We do offer full medical, dental, vision, 401k, and EAP benefits. And roughly a breakdown of the jobs, you're talking about 100 manufacturing jobs, so those are machinist and assembly type work, and then 20 professional jobs, which could be everything from executive to supply chain to engineering, et cetera, type roles. And lastly, I do want to talk about something we're really proud of. Is it's just not about what we're doing inside those four walls, but what are we doing to give back to the community? We've been actively involved here locally, obviously for a long time, but in recent years, we've partnered with two organizations, Positive Tomorrows, which I'm sure most folks are familiar with here in Oklahoma City, as well as the Regional Food Bank. We've donated close to $50,000 and volunteered more than 400 hours over the last 4 years, and that partnership is planning to continue in the years to come. And the local support, the employees' involvement, we require, I shouldn't say we require, we ask, and we get a lot of good participation from our employees. Typically, somewhere around 70 to 80% of our employees volunteer some sort of time or a giving of funds to support the community efforts that we support. So last picture here is just a picture of the former facility at Northwest 36, the Liquid Controls facility in Lake Bluff, and then lastly, those two will be combined into the new Advanced Flow Solutions facility there off of I-35. Take any questions?
Steve, any questions or comments?
Any ideas on how many of those jobs will be relocated from Chicago versus employed locally?
Sure. Of the manufacturing jobs themselves, those will not be relocated. Those will be new hires. Obviously, we're going to start local. I don't know if folks will potentially come from other states to come here for those roles, but the professional jobs of the 20, there's roughly about 6 that will be relocation from Chicago.
Thank you. Welcome to Oklahoma City.
Thank you.
Well, you've been here 6 years, so, okay.
I feel like I'm pretty much an Okie at this point.
Good.
Proud to be.
They get a special award. There's a fact that has not come out yet. Back in the 90s, there was a consultant called to Corkin to teach inventory practices. That consultant is yours truly, and he survived, and so I'm taking bids. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Seeing none, please, we'll take a motion in a second. Please cast your votes. And it passes.
Thank you.
Good luck to you all.
Thank you.
Okay, next up is the chamber, the bridge,
Yes, on the Myriad Garden, yes, sir.
Myriad Garden Bridge.
Yeah, so on this project, so it's a design update on the Myriad Gardens Crystal Bridge, and Maureen Heffernan is here, and then Scott Dedman is also here to give us an update on the design of the bridge.
Well, thank you. Good afternoon. Well, I'm really delighted to share our our design updates with you we've been working on for the last year or so. Well, this is the new layout of the Crystal Bridge, and we're really excited about it because it really benefits the visitor experience in a lot of different ways. It's more accessible, it's easier to navigate, the surfaces are even. So there's a lot of upgrades here, and we've done a lot of studying and discussion on how to make it great for the individual visitor who comes in to see all of the plant collections, to having group events, to having rental events, and all of those things. So this is the new floor layout. You'll be entering in our current new entrance that we changed about 2 years ago. And as you come in, you'll see a beautiful new waterfall feature. You'll see a portal in the middle to go underneath that. It kind of separates two ends of the project. And they'll continue to be a large tropical plant collection, as well as an arid and dry succulent plants on the north end. We've included a new reflecting pool at the north end as well. We're adding a gift shop, so part of our overall goals for this project is to increase our visitorship and to increase our revenue stream so we can continue to lower the amount of funding that we receive from the city every year. So having a better attraction with more members, more paying visitors, a gift shop will really help us achieve that goal. This is a rendering of what it will look like. This is right off our visitor lobby. And here is an illustration of how our waterfall will look. There's a whole new staircase on the east side or the west side of the project. All the flooring is new. There'll be beautiful new bluestone flooring. On the top, you can see kind of almost a terrace effect at the south end, so it will be much more accessible to folks to enjoy that if you're in a wheelchair. This is how the surfacing will look on the floor. It's all natural stone. We're trying to make all of our features as artistic and interesting as possible, so this is some studies for this portal to kind of look like a root structure, a tree-type structure. We've also been inspired by this artist who makes these beautiful root sculptures, so you can imagine kind of walking under something like that in the renovation. This is the north end of the first floor, and we're blocking a room behind that root screen that you see. That will become a classroom, but the root sculpture should be quite beautiful. It serves as a backdrop to this new reflecting pool. There's a spiral staircase on the right that you can go up to the terrace above that, which is completely different. If you've been in the bridge, you know that whole section has a large mountain, that we call it, in front of it. So that completely goes away and opens up that area and adds a second floor terrace on the second level. Also, this is the education experience will be much enhanced. So we're grouping different types of trees and plants and shrubs together so to concentrate the educational information at each of those areas. This is an overview of how the second levels will look, and the one on the north end will really be a big improvement now. Having this terrace area, we can use that for small groups, for small rentals. We can have school field trip activity points there. And the Oculus room, which is the room there with a large window that looks north towards the Devon Plaza, that room will also be upgraded into a new experience for visitors. This is just an example. These are just drafts of some of the new interpretive elements that will be in the project throughout the different levels. This is a little discovery room to create so we can have more educational features in this foyer area before you enter on the second floor. This is the Oculus room, making it into a more interesting place just to sit and relax and enjoy the view out of that window. And on our Skywalk, which is on the third level, we plan to create 3 bump outs so even younger kids can look out and see all of the plantings below. And then each of these stations will be an interactive educational stop to find and discover something interesting about your visit. So there are the Skywalk overlooks. They'll look like that. And then throughout, we have a whole new program of interpretive signage. So whether it's an individual plant, identifying what it is, identifying or interpreting some aspects about it, or groups of plants. We have a really well thought through education plan using all of this new signage. So the total cost for the project right now, we estimate to be about $9.7 million. And we have the city is contributing money through Devon TIF and some city funds. That's just a little bit under $6 million. And so the public bid scope of work is using those city funds. And you can see how we've divided that work between the public funds and then all of the funds that we've raised as a foundation on the right. And the timeline is that we will be bidding out the work soon, and we hope construction to actually start in May. We'll be having a big plant sale in April to start to deaccession all of the existing plants, and then we hope to reopen sometime in the end of 2022 will be the grand reopening of the project. So, any questions?
Thank you, Maureen. Any questions for Maureen?
The artist for the portal, no, his name is Steve Tobin. He's in the Philadelphia region, and we're not using an artist. Our landscape architect selected that as his inspiration from what this portal could look like. So our landscape architect is actually designing that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions?
Okay, thank you.
Seeing none, I will entertain a motion to receive Maureen's very good report and a second for that. And it passes. Thank you all. Thank you, Maureen. Next up, Jeff Seymour is here for the Chamber of Commerce report.
Afternoon again. It's good to see everyone in person. I wanted to give a quick update on our second quarter 2020-21 contract. We like to give these quarterly updates just to kind of give you an idea of activity and outcomes that are going on in the metro area through our partnership with the city. I always have to open, and I should do so again, and just say thank you for the partnership. The partnership between the city, the Alliance, and the Chamber is something that really is special, and I think it really continues to bear fruit. And so we see that in outcomes through this last quarter and through this last year. From a quarterly perspective, did close the year out with a pretty good quarter, 2 announcements at the end of the year, adding approximately 1,700 new jobs. This is the announcement of North Star Scientific, a Hawaiian radar research company that's moving an operation here to Oklahoma City, adding about 40 new jobs, and the announcement that Amazon will be building its second large major warehouse facility at Lariat Landing at Will Rogers Airport. So 2 good project announcements. Go ahead, Lacey. From a yearly perspective, we kind of saw 2020 as the year of sort of 2 competing narratives. One is that business as usual will continue to occur around the recruitment front. 5 major recruitments, which is one of the best years for recruitment we've had for a long period of time. But obviously a local economic narrative and reality that showed vulnerabilities with our small business community. And from a partnership perspective with the city, Chamber, and Alliance, obviously we were working on both of those fronts. So from a recruitment perspective, last year netted almost 3,900 new jobs and about $307 million in capital investment. So again, a really strong year for recruitment. The 4 biggest announcements on that front, Skydweller, another new aerospace company that announced its headquarters move to Oklahoma City, adding about 75 new jobs to our market. One of the reasons we're most excited about Skydweller, just like we are North Star Scientific, is this moves us into a new position within the aerospace sector to not only maintain, repair, and overhaul aircraft, but produce components for aircraft and produce new aircraft technology in the market. Costco's announced expansion. We had a chance to celebrate with them several weeks ago. Their new facility in the former Hertz facility, and they've talked about adding 1,500 or more new jobs in Oklahoma City. This is their first corporate office outside of the Seattle market, so it's a really big step for the company. I think it really signals where we're headed from a back office perspective. And then finally, the Amazon announcement. Go ahead. One of the things that was really difficult in 2020 was managing relationships. For all of us, and especially in our business, our job is to manage good relationships. And on that note, it's really two fronts. We want to manage relationships with site consultants who advise companies on corporate location decisions and the companies themselves. So we had to get pretty creative on both of those fronts. From a site consultant perspective, literally thought outside the box, pun intended, and tried to think of some creative ways to continue to manage and foster just the relationships that we built over the years. This is just an example in the middle. Sent some care packages, did in-market events through virtual in-market events, site visits, just did creative things to try to continue to push the Oklahoma City message. On the company side, really focused on outreach into three key sectors: aerospace, back office, and manufacturing. So on the right side of the screen, you can see a partnership that we entered into the Shared Services and Operating Network to do an Oklahoma City white paper that really talks about, from a business perspective, why so many back office operations have located in Oklahoma City, and really told the story through their eyes and through their lens. And so we were excited about the traction that that got in the marketplace. Some other outcomes, obviously continue on the theme of partnership, the opportunity for the city to launch the Kiva micro-lending program, in addition to other programs that we launched around small business continuity. We really think that micro-lending platform is a good way to continue to add financial tools in the marketplace that hadn't existed as we continue to find ways to bolster, start, and launch small business operations in Oklahoma City. Obviously, continuation of the partnership around the continuity program and its minority small business recovery program iteration, and launching a second phase of the Stand Tall, Shop Small campaign, which focused people on shopping here in Oklahoma City from small businesses through the holidays. And we think that was a successful venture. So go ahead, Leslie. My biggest statement again is thank you for the partnership. This is something I think a lot of metros look at as the way we do business here. And obviously I think it's producing good outcomes. So happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Jeff. Any comments or questions for Jeff?
Thank you.
There is, don't you guys know there's a virus attack going on? How can you have all this good news?
No, we don't make big news about it, but yeah. It is nice to see such good outcomes, though, even in the midst of what's going on.
Congratulations. Thank you for that good
Thank you,
report. It's time to receive the second quarter report. I'll entertain a motion and a second to receive Jeff's second quarter report. And we need some electronic messages.
They don't have their voting button.
I'm missing
They don't have the voting buttons. It's not showing up on here. You do? Huh. Okay.
Here we go. Okay.
It's slow coming up.
We have motion is second. Please cast your votes. And it is so done. Last on the agenda is the general manager reports that you will receive. You can read them at your leisure. Any questions or comments from the trustees? Seeing none, any from the audience? Again, seeing none, we are adjourned. Thank you for your attentiveness and your attendance.